Okay, welcome everyone. Rosh Hashana is soon upon us. Now, I want to explain the power of this day. And first, you have to understand how Chagim, how Mu'adim, how times, sanctified times in the Torah, what they mean. They're not commemorative. We are experiencing them literally each time we're there. It happened in those days, but in this time, right now. So when you have Pesach, it's the power of freedom. Getting free. And every year there is freedom there. Shavuot, another time to accept the Torah. Sukkot is the time of our simcha. Okay, you gather in the crops at that time. And the Gra says, the Vilna says that they lost the clouds of glory, they had covered after the sin of the Egel. And when did they get him back? They got him back on Sukkot. That's why it was a joy of the Sukkot time. Yom Kippur, we have the time of forgiveness. Moshe comes down from Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, with the second tablets, and we get forgiven. So every year we come back to the moment of forgiveness and tshuva, which is on Yom Kippur. So what is the unique quality that we're coming back to on Rosh Hashana? That's what we need to speak about, especially in light of the fact that Rosh Hashana is called the Yom Hadin, the Day of Judgment. Now, if we do know that Adam was created, humanity was created, Adam and Chava created on Rosh Hashana. So what does it have to do with the Day of Judgment? Why the Day of Judgment then? And if it's a Day of Judgment, there comes a very famous question that people ask, which is very strange. If we're being judged, and that's part of the central aspect of this day, then why isn't the day filled with asking forgiveness and all the things I need? That's not what's happening. You're not even allowed to mention chatoim, sins. You don't say it. No vidui, nothing. Which is strange. I mean, even there are some that don't say it's Avinu Malkeinu. We say Avinu Malkeinu. It starts out, we say Chatar v'nech, I've sinned before you. And the second one is Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, King. We have no other than you. And some people read it that our forefathers sinned. That's the first one. But we have no one else but you, because we can't mention sins. But it's a day of judgment. You should come clean. You should say, okay, I did this wrong. And then you should ask for your life. We don't do that. We say, ten kavod, ten pachtacha, give your glory and elevate the world and everyone serve you. And let's make real Hashem is the king. What about me? So they have judgment. I should be asking for what I want. Give me. And Rosh Hashanah is not the day. It's the day of judgment. I don't really understand why is the day of judgment? It's the day Adam was created, but then we should be asking asking forgiveness and then asking what we want. We don't do that. And then we have to understand what the shofar is doing. What the shofar is doing, and the shofar, which is the avod of the day. It's the service of the day. It's called Yom Trua, the day of the blowing of the Trua. That's what it's called. So how does that work? What is it doing? How does that fit into the judgment? What is it about? Let's understand. As we said, every single Chag, every single Yom Tov, every single Moed, we're coming back to that point and re-experiencing that moment. So, according to that, we're re-experiencing the creation of Adam and Chava, creation of reality, of our world. Even the 6 days went before was all for this pinnacle. So we're re-experiencing the creation of the world. Now, how was the world meant to be created? So we know it says Hashem wanted to create the world in din, in judgment. And it said Hashem knew that the world cannot survive with that. So he was mitzvah rachmi. Of course, it's not the foolish thing that foolish people think that Hashem thought this and thought that. That's not what it means. But it means the central purpose of the creation was for din, for judgment. And to be successful in that, which is the goal, Hashem added to it the quality of compassion. Now, we said this many times. Why was the purpose of the world judgment? Well, to be judged. Because the purpose of the world is to be able to earn our connection, as we said many times. The famous Shlah, the Shlah says, before people were created, they were for Hashem, and they were basking in Hashem's light, and it was tremendous pleasure. Tremendous pleasure. So why create a world? There was one problem. They had something called Nahama Diksufa, bread of shame, because we were created, popped into existence, and it's fantastic. We're connecting to Hashem, but we didn't do anything to earn this. It's not ours. We're basically paupers. We're basically beggars. We're not people. So because of that, Hashem put us into this world that we could earn this connection. We could do the mitzvot. We can do all the things we have to do to be the owners of the experience of the divine. So the purpose of the creation of the world is obviously, yes, the original purpose is to give us good. Olam Chesed Yibon, Hashem wanted to create the world to give us good. But how does he give us that good? By creating a world that we can earn it. So that's what it means. The beginning and the purpose of the world was created so we should earn our connection. And therefore, that's what it means. Olam Machshava, it went up in, so to speak, Hashem's plan was to create the world in Din. And so therefore, today, we come back to that moment of creation on Rosh Hashana, of the purpose of creation, of the creation itself. We're being created. And what does that mean? Now we're being created with din, with judgment. And that's an amazing thing. The Sfas Emes says, and what happens is we blow the shofar, because Hashem wanted to create the world in judgment, because that's the purpose. And since we couldn't handle it, there was the fail-safe method of, okay, there'll be rachamim worked in that you can be successful. So the punishment doesn't happen, it's not total, doesn't happen immediately. Hashem gives us the power of tshuva, all the things we need to be able to be earning it. That is what Hashem added. Says the Sfas Emes, that's what happens when we blow the shofar. It says that Hashem moves from the kisei, from the throne of judgment, to the throne of rachamim, compassion. So somehow the blowing of the shofar is intrinsic in this creation of the world that's happening. This day of Rosh Hashana, the first day that we're starting and we're returning to, and the judgment is happening, we also need to move to compassion, and that's through the shofar. We need to explain how that works. Now, first, just to bring that home a little bit, why the day of Rosh Hashana is the day of judgment. Everything that you do, let's say, give an example. Let's say I open a business and I have a goal, a purpose in my business. Let's say the business, the idea is to make money. So I open this business, I have certain things, I have certain assets we put, and certain investments, this and that, and we have a whole strategy. When we come and return to that moment of beginning, when the year is over and we reassess the purpose of the business, we have to be back there. We have to say, okay, did we do it properly? Did the budget work? Did the investments work? Did the things that we were trying, how do we have to change it? What was going, what wasn't going? And that's exactly what's happening now. Since the beginning of the creation was, should we be able to earn our connection? We come back to that moment, and now it's a return and a reassessment of what we did. How much life do we get now? We were given certain goods during the year. Did we use them properly? And then we'll be able to determine what should be your budget for next year. You know, if you use the goods well, then maybe let's give them more. Maybe not. Maybe we have to have the person have the business get less because they have to be more frugal. So that is the return to the moment of the time of din, to the moment of creation where we started out from. Now, let's understand now, since we're returning back to that moment of creation of din, we're going to blow the shofar, and somehow that's going to be part of this process, and it's going to affect the day. Let's understand how that works. So there are many incredible reasons that are given for blowing the shofar. The famous one the Rambam gives seems very simple. It's Yeshana Mishnaskan. Wake up, sleepy heads. Get out of bed. So we are busy a whole year. We're stuck in the tardema, in the drowsiness of this world. We come to now, this day, and wake up. And wakes us up. Okay, beautiful. Tosfos gives a different reason. Tosfos is like this. Tosfos says that a fascinating thing happens when you blow the shofar. The halacha is that from the Torah, you blow the shofar one set. The rabbis instituted another set called sitting ones, is the ones that we do first. That's called from the Torah because it's not during the Shemona Esrei, it's not during the solemn prayer. You don't have to stand, even though we do stand, but theoretically you could sit. Then the second one is during the Shemona Esrei, and that's called the standing ones. That was instituted by the rabbis. And then we do, as a custom, more at the end to get to the 100 sounds. So the first time blow the shofar, Tosfos says, he brings to Yerushalmi, says that the Satan, the force of negativity, says, "Oh no, I hear that sound. Is that what it says in the verse in Yeshaya that in the future, that day, Takah b'shofar gadol, Hashem will blow the great shofar, and then the ones that are lost will come back. Of Meretz Ashur, those who are in the land of Assyria that are over, that are lost, will come back. The Anidachim and the ones that are pushed away from Yerushalayim, in Egypt, they'll come back to Har Hashem, to the base of Mikdash. Oh no, he says, this is it. The shofar, I hear the shofar sound. This is the great shofar, and the end is near for the Yetzer Hara, for the Satan, for the evil inclination. The world will come to clarity. He hears the first time you blow the shofar, and he says, maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's not sure. He says, bowl in a bowl. He's nervous, not nervous. Then here's the second one. He says, this is definitely it. This is it. This is the big one. The shofar is being blown, and coming the gula, and it's the end of the Yetzer Hara. And therefore, we cannot mekatra, we cannot prosecute against us. That's a very strange understanding of this story. First of all, I mean, it's very weird because, I mean, how many times could you fall for the same trick? I mean, every year the Satan knows we blow the shofar, and he knows it's not it. So why is he, oh no, maybe it is. And then it's not, but the second time he thinks this is definitely it. I don't understand. He knows the custom. He knows the rabbis instituted a second blowing also. So why does he think that that's really it now? So Tzaddik Hakon says the two reasons of the Rambam Tosfos are really the same reason. It's really the same idea. Let's understand. We're going back to the creation, back to the beginning. First Rosh Hashana. What happened? Adam was created, and then he was put to sleep. And it says that Hashem created the Isha. He separated him front to back, different understandings, but let's say cut him in half. However you understand the creation of Adam into male, female, and he had to put him to sleep. When it says Hashem vayiskor basar tachtena, he closed the skin. It says there's a letter Samech, and the letter Samech sounds like the Satan, the force of negativity, and it's like a circle. It's like you're trapped in there. And it says at that moment was when the Satan was created. So in the moment of the Tardema, in the sleeping of Adam, that's when the force of evil was created. Now, What does that mean? Well, the simple meaning is that the whole reality of the ability for evil to prosper is when we're fast asleep. When you're connected, you're aware, you're living your life properly, you connect to Hashem, there's no evil. But at the moment when your mind is shut down and you're in the world of illusion, the world of dream, so that is the creation of the Yetzer Hara, the creation of evil, because now it's not clear. Adam was put to sleep on Rosh Hashana, and then he was woken up. And that's what it means that the Rambam says, wake up! You hear the shofar, and it's back there to Adam, back to the deepest senses of reality. Kabbalah's talking about what happens in the spiritual realms too. There is a dimension now where there's a wake up and reality is clear. That's what it means. The Satan says, this is the end. What's his best move, the Satan? His best move is to get you lost in illusions. That's the real root of chet, of negativity, of sin, is that you're stuck in illusion. You go, it's time, it's reality, it's business, it's type. Every illusion that is created, that is the breeding ground for the Yetzer Hara, for the Satan. So when you wake up, like Adam woke up, the Yetzer Hara was created when he's sleeping. He wakes up. And that's what it means, the Satan says, this is the end. Because it really is. If you really wake up, it's the end. There is no Satan anymore. We're connected, we see truth, we see reality. That is what the Tzaddik says, it's the same reason. The waking up is the destruction of the Yetzer Hara, and that is what happened on the first Rosh Hashana, and it happens every single year. Fascinating. Okay. As even what it means, just as an aside, says the great shofar is blown, and it says, Uval Ovimeretz Ashur, become the lost ones to the land of Ashur. Ashur, which the Aleph means content, but it's also Osher, it's ayin, it's riches. And so the deeper meaning is the people that are lost in the pursuit of their riches, the ones who are ambitious, the original America, not the America today, but the original America, which had its flaws too, was the ambition and the work. So those that are lost in the illusions of the land of wealth, they're ovid, they're lost. They'll hear the shofar and they'll wake up. And they wake up first before the ones that are lost in Mitzrayim. The ones that are lost in Mitzrayim are called Nidachim. Nidachim they're pushed away. In the Eretz Mitzrayim, the land of Mitzrayim is the land of Eretz Aris, the pleasures. They're lost in pleasures. They're sleeping in pleasures. So it's funny because who's worse? The guy who's anti and he's doing and he's building and he's anti-religion, anti-Torah, or the guy who's just like stuck in his pleasures. Well, one's decided to say both, but in one way, the one who's lost in his ambitions is coming back first, because once he redirects his ambitions, then he can come back. The ones who are sleeping and I love, put on someone. Let me see another channel. Let's watch, and they're in the stupor of the pleasure, so it's hard for them to get out. So the Ovdim, when they hear the shofar, they wake up. And that's when the end of the Yetzer Hara is, because they come back even if they're lost in the land of Osher, of wealth, or they're pushed away, they're nidach in the land of Mitzrayim, the land of constriction. I'm my pleasures. I can't see a bigger picture. The shofar will blow. They'll wake up and they'll come back. As an aside, it's beautiful. Sorry. Okay, so that is the connection. First, what the shofar does. Now, let's go a little deeper. The shofar is a very different instrument than any other instrument. It's what's called an atonal instrument. It has no notes. I guess you could move your lips a little bit. Our shomer blower in the shul was wonderful. He was able to make his lips smaller and bigger and make the hole small. But essentially, the shofar is called an atonal instrument. It doesn't have notes. You don't play it. And what it is just called kol. Kol with a kuf, sound. There's two parts. One is the kol, the voice. One's called dibor, the speech. Now, speech requires the 5 different movements of the mouth, right? With your lips, or with your throat, or with your tongue, or with your palate, your teeth. So there's 5 different mots d'apeh, and you can create words. So the kol is just the panemius, the internal part that comes out, and that's where it says in the Torah, kol Yaakov. It didn't say the speech is Yaakov. The essence, the inner panemius, the inner breath is the voice of Jacob. And Dibor is when it's lower. It's when it's formulated into words and constricted and limited. The shofar call is the call of the inner panemius, is the inner sound. It's not a localized thing. It's the panemius of the person. Now, let's understand what happens in Rosh Hashana. There's a very important principle we talk about many times. It says in the pasuk in Tehillim, it says, Hashem is my shadow. Your shadow, Hashem is your shadow. Well, just like I do something, my shadow responds, does exactly the same. Hashem goes the same way. We act a certain way. Hashem responds to us in the way that we do. So it says in Zohar, it says, someone who has a smiling face and a positive, the world smiles back at him, right? Like it says in all the songs, but it's true. Guy's angry, everyone's angry. Why are you feel so angry? You know why everyone's so angry? Because you're angry. Hashem reflects to us like the shadow what we do. So now what happens is when we blow our shofar, there is a shofar that Hashem is blowing back to us. Hashem has a shofar. We, from the Esrus to the Torah, we go and we, on this day, on Rosh Hashana, we start the process. And we blow the shofar and we call out from the panemius, from the kol, not the words, the inner part, the inner essence. We call out, and then Hashem calls back to us. He blows his shofar, right? The famous story, analogy, I've said many times, of the king who had a son, the prince, and he wants the prince to go out into the kingdom when he becomes of age. Then he gives him a satchel of money and the royal garb, and he sends him out, go out and make your way and show your greatness to the world. So the prince goes out and he starts hanging out with the wrong people. He starts to forget he's the prince. He starts hanging out with the wrong crowd, and he's playing poker and going here and going there, and soon he forgets he's the prince altogether. His clothes are dirty, and he's lost who he is. And one day he's sitting there, the time is a year's gone by, and he's playing poker with the boys, and then he just forgot who he is altogether. And all of a sudden, he hears this sound, this powerful emanating sound, this coronary sound, and he knows, he says, that's the sound, the king is here. I know that sound means the king is passing through. I gotta go. I gotta see my father. And so he runs out and he goes and he says, okay, I'm the prince. And the guards are all there and they close off the path and they say, yeah, no, let me in, I'm the prince. You're the prince. He said, no, I had to get it. I'm the prince. Look, can't see the clothes. Clothes are too dirty already. And he says, no, I'm the prince. Let me in. And the guards push him down, push him into the mud. And now his clothes are unrecognizable. He's gone. He's lost. He's just in the mud. He's nobody. There's nothing to do. What can he do? So from the deepest place inside of him, all of a sudden he calls out, he screams, "Daddy! Daddy!" He screams, he pulls out an inner cry. It's not the words, it's the sound. It's his deepest essence. And the king says, "Stop the carriage." I recognize that voice. That's my son. That is what our shofar has to be. So it's the wake-up call, but it's the wake-up call from what we really want in our deepest essence. And now this is an amazing thing. And therefore, when we blow our shofar from our panemius, from our essence, Hashem blows his shofar. He breathes back into us. What does he breathe in? Ayipach ba'apav. What happened on the first Rosh Hashana? He breathed life into us. The time was over. We had a certain amount of life. It lasted a year. It's over. Game's over. Now is Rosh Hashanah. We've returned to that starting point. And what happens now is Hashem is going to blow the shofar and breathe life back into us. But it starts with our blowing the shofar. Are we able and ready to receive it? Do we want it? That's the shofar. So we blow ours, Hashem blows back his shofar, meaning he breathes life into creation and gives us another year. We've returned back to that moment of the original creation. Sleeping? Yeah, put to sleep. Shofar, wake up. This is what I want. And then Hashem breathes life back into us, as on the first Rosh Hashanah. And that's why we said it's the day of Yom Adin, because Hashem says, okay, are you going to want this connection? Are you going to earn it? Go back to that starting point. And this also explains what we started with. I said, if this is a day of Yom Adin, then why aren't we saying Vidoy, asking what we did wrong? Why aren't we asking Hashem, give me? And we don't. Before Hashem we say the line of Zechrein L'chaim is really an addition of the Gaonim later. It's not the essential davening. Essential davening is to give Hashem, reveal yourself, show yourself, present yourself, let everyone see you're the king. The job in Rosh Hashanah is to mamlech the melech, to make God the king. And if today we're being judged, it should be a day where I'm asking for what I need. I mean, being judged is scary. How do I understand why we don't do this? So there's an answer the Gra says, I'd like to explain it based on what we said today. Because the answer says it's very difficult to do. Not so difficult to understand, but difficult to do. There is a famous chazal, everyone knows, it says, sages say that if you need something, your friend needs something, so if you daven for your friend to have it, then Hashem answers you first. Which is weird because people then do a trick, right? Oh, I know how to get the thing. I want a fancy car. My friend just broke his car. I'm gonna daven for him to get the best car, so I'll get the best car. Doesn't work that way. It works a very different way. Let me explain how it works. And I'll give an analogy. I've said this story many times, those who have heard it, but when my kids was younger, one of the kids was a very difficult child. Which is okay. So it was a difficult child. One day, my wife had to punish the child, sent the child to their room, out dinner, go, get into your room. And you know how it works. When you send the kid to the room, that's the surefire way the kid's not going to stay in their room. No one wants to be sent to the room. So I have to go to the bathroom, I need a drink of water, all the things. Okay. Child keeps coming out. I keep saying, go back to your room, go back to your room, go back to your room. At one point, I don't know what came over me. It was crazy. I saw the child come out, and I saw my wife was crying on the porch. Why was she crying? Because she had to send the child to the room. Felt bad. So I took the child, and I brought my child to a place where she could see my wife. My wife couldn't see her. And the child saw my wife crying. And I remember there was a shock. And it was at that moment of realization where it says, when the parent says, this hurts me more than it hurts you, and you don't believe it. But when you see it, you say, wow, it's really true. We're in this relationship, in a oneness and a love relationship where you are me and I am you, and it hurts me more than it hurts you. So the Vilna Gaon says, when you pray, when you daven in Rosh Hashana, and you say, Hashem, I care about your glory and the things that you want to bring into the world. And this is what you want to bring into the world. And that's what I care about. Hashem answers us first. The ultimate way to get what you want on Rosh Hashanah is to daven for Hashem's kavod, Hashem's honor. Now, it can't be a trick, can't be a game. That's, it won't work. So how does it work? When you realize what we said about the shofar blow, and you realize that we're reaching out, and Hashem is blowing life back into us. How do we have life? It says in the Zohar, it says when whoever blows into something blows from their inner essence, from themselves. The neshama we have is the chelko kamimal. Our souls is an aspect of the divine, and therefore when Hashem breathes life, breathing Kivyoch, he can't even say it from himself. We have a divine aspect in ourselves. So when you realize in this day we are one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are one with Hashem, you could daven for Hashem's glory because it is your glory too. It's the only way you're functioning, right? When everyone sees and everyone knows the truth and everyone is lined up and everyone's pushing to the same thing and going the same way and realizing they give one shoulder to serve Hashem, we realize that we're all connected and we're all part of this reflection of the divine in the world. So when you daven on this day for all of the greatness that you want revealed in the world, you're davening for yourself too. It's amazing. That's the quality of the shofar. The shofar, which is the breath from my inner essence of what I want. And when I realize what I want, and you should do that when you hear the shofar, you should hear and cry out, this is what I want. My deepest sense wants to connect back to my source. That Hashem breathes back life as in the first Rosh Hashanah and gives us more life. And the life is, Chayim is connection. And that's what the Mefarshim says. Like there's different texts when you say in davening, say some people in the Sephardi, the Sfard and Sephardi, it says often, give us Chayim Tovim. And Ashkenaz doesn't say that. It says Chaim. A lot of times I used to always want to say Chaim Tovim, good life. The rationale of the Ashkenaz Nusach is because Chaim by definition is Tov. Chaim, we call Hashem Elkim Chaim, because life is connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is life. Otherwise, it's why people that are Rishoyim are considered dead even when they're alive. People that are Tzaddikim are considered alive even when they're dead. Because there's no other existence can exist otherwise. Rosh Hashanah is the day, and if we talked about last week, Yom Kippur, it happens through Ava. Rosh Hashanah happens mostly through Yira. Yira and Ava also get both, but we nullify ourselves to our source. When we mamlich Hashem, we make Hashem the king over us. We say we are connected, we're attached to that. We become one. It's a giving over ourselves to become one with Hashem. And at that moment, that's the shofar. The shofar is our call. We want that, and Hashem is breathing life back into us, and now we're one. And that's why the tefillah there for the grand things in the world is a tefillah for ourselves, because we are one at that moment with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that is the power. Returning, Rosh Hashanah is returning to the day. It's returning to the day of beginning, to the Rosh, to the purpose that we should earn it. And through our shofar blowing, through our standing in front of Hashem, yearning for that is how we're zocha to din. That's how Hashem moves from the kisei of din, the judgment, the kisei of rachmin, because at that moment we really have now called out and breathed new life and new connection and return to the glory of the Yom Rishon, the Rosh, the beginning, before anything went off. And now it's Chayim, it's life and connection forever. All the best.